What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I just covered a video, I think yesterday, as a matter of fact, of Donald Trump suing CBS for $10 freaking billion. And I was like, man, that's kind of an absurd number. Good luck getting 100 million. Good luck getting 500,000 out of this, as a matter of fact. But now we have an update to this story. Check this out, y'all. Trump targets Washington Post, CBS with long shot legal actions over Harris coverage ads. So now he's going after the Washington Post. Oh, and hang on, what other story have we covered recently about the Washington Post? Yes, as a matter of fact, it was the Washington Post and the Los Angeles Times not endorsing Kamala Harris, who they are surrogates, essentially, of. Let's get into this. That's just an interesting fact to go along with this, something to keep top of mind. And something else to keep top of mind is if you don't like being manipulated by the corporate press, if you don't, then subscribe to this channel, because that's what I do, folks. We read the news to keep you informed, and we also point out the corporate press manipulations, y'all. That's right. So subscribe if you're new around here. Don't forget, if you could do me a favor, smash that like button for me. I would really, really appreciate it. I need y'all's help, and that like button is the best way to help me out. Also, you could share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your co-workers, hey, go check this guy out. He gives you the news and tells you how you're being manipulated by the corporate press. That's what I do, folks. Let's get into this story right quick, because this is insane. Days before the presidential election, former President Donald Trump and his campaign have launched legal actions against two major media outlets, claiming that they are illegally helping Vice President Kamala Harris through their news coverage and advertising. Legal experts said Trump's efforts are frivolous. Yeah, not so much. Maybe a little bit. The Republicans' campaign on Thursday filed a Federal Elections Commission complaint accusing the Washington Post of making illegal corporate in-kind contributions to Harris. And from what it looks like, they do have a little bit of legal foothold to stand on here. The campaign based its accusation on a Semaphore report which said that the Post, as part of a ramped-up paid advertising campaign on social media, highlighted numerous articles critical of Trump versus more neutral coverage of the Democratic nominee. The FEC complaint alleges that Semaphore's report indicates that the Post is conducting a dark money corporate campaign in opposition to President Donald J. Trump. Now, this is something you can go and look at all the news articles from the Washington Post, and you will see that nothing but negative ads, nothing but negative stories, I should say, news articles about Donald Trump, and nothing but neutral or positive news articles about Kamala Harris. So on its face, the surface level, this would appear to be so. I wonder why that is, but we'll get into that. That claim is completely preposterous, Columbia Law School professor Richard Briffault told CNBC. There is no evidence in the allegations of any coordination between the Post and the Harris campaign, said Briffault, who specializes in campaign finance regulation and political law. That's interesting he would say that. There's no evidence of alleged coordination, but does there have to be? No, there doesn't. No, because we know that the Washington Post, as a matter of fact, is a left-wing activist organization that characterizes itself as unbiased news, and we cover unbiased news all the time. I say it all the time. There is not a single unbiased news organization on this planet. There is not a single unbiased person on this planet at all. Everybody has a bias. Everybody. So for anybody to tell you that they're unbiased, that we're just centrist moderate news organization, yeah, that's not so true, is it? No, because we know the corporate press, the mainstream news, is filled with left-wing activists. These people go off to journalist college, and they get radicalized by some of these professors and some of these colleges into the Democrat Party propaganda machine. That's what happens. So we know that most of these places Even Fox News, right? Like, that's something somebody brought up to me in the comments the other day, that I don't go after right-wing news. Well, yeah, I don't cover right-wing news because I don't care about what they have to say for the most part. And I consider Fox News to be right up there with places like CNN. Even though they're kind of on the other side, they're still corporate press. They're still mainstream narrative machine. They give out just a different narrative. But yeah, if you go and look at some of their rules and regulations of the company, they're quite liberal, as a matter of fact. That is right. So Fox News does not get a break from my wrath, if you will. They are mainstream news. They're not unbiased either. They may have a bias in the other direction, but they still have a bias. I try to give you an unbiased take on the news, but then I give you my biased-ass opinion. Yes, I said it. I have a strong bias, right? And something else that I want to discuss right quick with you guys. I used to not be this biased, right? I used to not care. I used to not really follow politics all that much. And even when I started doing YouTube, I wasn't all that biased. I look at facts and I'll be like, I just want to be fact-based, right? That's all. I just want to look at the facts and that's it. But in doing so, looking at the facts has pushed me in a certain direction. I have been pushed more to the right because the left-wing journalism in this country has pushed me that direction. These people come out, they're so biased, they're so manipulative. I've got to point that out, so that offsets me to the other direction in pointing that out. So if I come off very biased, that is why, because the corporate press reading news articles has pushed me in that direction, as a matter of fact. Let's keep going, though. The Post's ads, at most, constitute independent expenditures protected by the Supreme Court's decision, Citizens United versus the FEC, which broadened the rules on corporate election spending, he said, and he's right about that. And as the Trump letter acknowledges, there is no express advocacy of Harris, so the Post's actions don't count as independent expenditures, Briffault added. This is litigation by press release and not more serious than that. Yeah, I kind of agree with him on that. A lot of this is kind of frivolous, but Donald Trump once again brings up a good point because they are biased toward Kamala Harris. Yeah, they're putting out, they're not putting out any negative, right? You don't ever see any corporate press really go negative hard on Kamala Harris. Right? Only recently, because they almost have to. They'll come out and say, yeah, she's not telling us anything. But they don't really dig much deeper than that. It's just kind of crazy. But the corporate press, at least the news articles, they don't ever go in on Kamala Harris. As a matter of fact, they go the opposite direction. They had to lie about what Goldman Sachs had said. They said Goldman Sachs come out and give a glowing example of Kamala Harris's plan for the economy. And it wasn't. They actually manipulated what Goldman Sachs said, twisted it around. Yeah, it's just crazy what they do, y'all. A spokesperson for the newspaper told CNBC in a statement Friday, as part of the Washington Post's regular social media marketing strategy, promoted posts across social media platforms reflected high-performing content across all vertical and subjects. Now, that's an interesting note right there, and this is why I kind of agree with that law professor a little bit, because we know for a fact that Donald Trump gets a lot of press. And Donald Trump negative press gets a lot of clicks. And this is probably the basis for most of this. Now, on its face, once again, surface level stuff. Yeah, they're putting out nothing but negative ads, negative articles, about Donald Trump, and more neutral and positive articles about Kamala Harris. That's because they don't want to say nothing negative about Harris. That's where their bias lies. But historically speaking, putting out negative articles about Donald Trump will get you more and more and more clicks. So that's pretty much where this lies. A lot of people get off on rage reading. As a matter of fact, rage news. People will tune in and turn on to rage. Right? They get outraged, for crying out loud. They'll get engaged with what is going on. And I personally have posited in the past that that is the origins of TDS, is the news. Because, once again, they have to keep upping themselves. They got to keep ramping it up, ramping it up, ramping it up, right? At first, Trump was just a racist, right? And then, they're being fascists and all this. And then, he's Nazis, right? He's almost as bad as Hitler. And then, he is Hitler. And now he's Hitler, Stalin, and Mussolini combined. And now he's just the devil incarnate, for crying out loud. So to continue to get these clicks, they got to keep ramping up the rhetoric, right? So you can only go so high with this. They're eventually going to top out. But it's gotten to the point now to where people are just sick and tired of the comparisons to 1930s Germany and Hitler and the Nazi Party and all this garbage, because we already lived under Donald Trump for 4 years and it wasn't bad at all. As a matter of fact, most Americans' lives got better under Donald Trump, and people are finally coming out of the fog of this corporate press narrative and turning off, because they're constantly trying to ram the point down your throat that Donald Trump is Hitler. And yet reality doesn't reflect that at all, ever, right? We don't see that whatsoever. They're trying to say that deporting illegals is tantamount to the concentration camps in 1930s Germany. That's just insane. That is just outright insane, to think that these people would advocate for criminal aliens just milling about all over the country and actually flying these people in, giving them legal protected status. It's just absurd on its face. We have laws, right? If you don't have borders, you don't have a country. And this is what the right is saying. This is absurd for these people to advocate for open freaking borders. But if you don't, according to the left, you're a fascist. You want to separate families, don't you? No, we want to deport illegals. And they have allowed in an unprecedented amount of illegals into this country. Criminal aliens. They've just allowed millions upon millions upon millions. We have like 25 million illegals in this country currently. Yeah, that's the estimates, because we don't know how many gotaways there are. Right, the Biden administration alone in the past 3.5, almost 4 years, has allowed almost 10 million into this country. That's absurd. That is outright absurd. He's increased the illegal population almost doubled it in 3.5, almost 4 years. That's just outright absurd. So they can't keep ramping up this rhetoric. People just aren't buying it anymore. We believe allegations suggesting this routine media practice is improper or without merit, the spokesperson said. Also on Thursday, Trump filed a federal lawsuit against CBS Broadcasting seeking $10 billion in damages over the network's editing of a 60 Minutes interview with Harris that aired in early October, and we covered that in depth. The 19-page suit, which accuses CBS of unlawfully interfering in the election to help Harris get elected, is solely based upon the network airing two different portions of Harris's answer to the same question. Yeah, it's two different answers totally. Get it right, corporate press. In an excerpt of the interview that aired on CBS's Face the Nation, Harris is shown delivering one part of the answer, but 60 Minutes showed a different portion of Harris's response.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Trump has repeatedly claimed on social media and at campaign rallies that the editorial move constitutes the biggest media scandal in broadcast history, and he could be close to correct. I don't think it's the biggest. I can't think of the biggest right now, although the Twitter files, I don't know if I would consider that broadcast history, because that's not really the corporate press, but that is big tech, and we do get a lot of news from big tech. But I would think the Twitter files would be the biggest, which actually shows the President of the United States and all the federal agencies. As a matter of fact, most of them had backdoor access to social media and were actually banning people from social media, outright deleting posts based upon opinions. Oh, because they said, oh, it's mis and disinformation. Well, it's somebody's opinion on something, right? But sometimes you would get banned for quoting the CDC. Yeah, that there was several instances of that. That's just nuts, y'all. I would think that's the biggest scandal in media history. But he says, you know, biggest media scandal in broadcast history. So, yeah, I don't know about that. Don't know about that one, but he has demanded that CBS lose its broadcast license, which is issued by the federal government. 60 Minutes on October 20th slammed Trump for accusing the program of deceitful editing, calling his claim false. Yeah, I don't know if I buy into that. Yeah, I think they did deceitfully edit that to make Kamala Harris look better. Why else would you leave out sections of an answer like that? Oh, you're padding for time? Yeah, it was only about 10 seconds longer. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't buy that. I don't buy that whatsoever. In my opinion, neither answer was good. Both of them were garbage. But one, at least she said she wanted the war to end. We saw the clip. That's just absurd to me that you would do that. Why not just leave that entire answer in there? Then it doesn't look like you're partisan hacks. 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of our interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of her answer than that on 60 Minutes. Not true, because if that entire answer that we saw was the answer, right? They didn't use a longer section. They used a completely different, they split that answer up. They didn't use part of one in the other one. It was two totally different answers from our perspective. So that's not true. The show said in its statement then, same question, same answer, but a different portion of the response. No, it wasn't the same answer. I'm sorry. That was two, right? Once again, like I said, if you put those two together, they make no sense. They make absolutely no sense. Of course, most things Kamala Harris says makes no sense. But once again, they didn't use any of one in the other one. You split the answer in two, gave one of them with one clip, and the other one with the other full interview. I'm sorry, that's deceitful editing. If you were to use just a little bit of the other one, then we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be talking about this, would we? CBS in a statement Thursday called Trump's lawsuit completely without merit. No, it's not completely without merit. Not against CBS. The one against the Washington Post, it has a little bit of merit, but that's, we worked all that out. This one, no, I'm completely right there with Trump on this one. Harvard Law School professor Noah Fieldman, a constitutional law expert, told CBS that the case was an outrageous violation of First Amendment principles. I will agree that he's going to have a lot of trouble with the CBS one, right? Because, once again, First Amendment. The other one, he's going to have, I don't think he's going to win that other one, to be honest with you. This one, he does have a lot of legal ground to stand on, because if they were to use some of the other answer, you can get away with that. But they use two totally different answers, so it looks deceitful. Y'all did that on purpose, and it looks deceitful. Whether that was the intention or not, intentions don't necessarily matter due to the outcome. Rebecca Tushnet, another First Amendment attorney at Harvard Law, told CNN that the lawsuit is ridiculous junk and should be mocked. Yeah, that's coming from a Harvard law professor, y'all. It's ridiculous junk. Come on now. Trump's suit was filed in U.S. District Court in Amarillo, Texas, effectively guaranteeing it would be assigned to Judge Matthew Kaczmarski. I don't know how to pronounce that, a Trump nominee with a conservative judicial record. That is right. Yeah, and that's called venue shopping, and I've discussed that several times on the channel. As a matter of fact, I don't think anybody should do venue shopping, but in a situation like this, where do you bring these lawsuits? Because it affects the whole nation, right? These articles are nationwide. CBS's coverage is nationwide. So where do you bring the lawsuit? At their headquarters? I mean, that's where I would bring the lawsuit. But, venue shopping, I think, personally, is manipulative. And if you look at it from an outside perspective, it is manipulative. But, my wife works at a law office, and I asked her to ask one of her lawyers about this and give me their take on this. And they said it kind of is, to be honest. But it's a tactic that they use because they know they're going to go somewhere where they're going to have a conservative judge or a liberal judge or whatever. But this is a normal practice. It's not illegal at all. And this is something that they do. It's just a normal standard. Both sides do it equally. So we kind of can't get mad about it because it's just a standard practice. Although we can say from the outside it does look manipulative. And because it kind of is. In a sense, right? His perspective on this was a little bit more in depth, if you will. From what he said, it's not necessarily about going to a jurisdiction where the judge is going to be empathetic to your cause, if you will. But it's staying away from judges that are just partisan hacks. In other words, that they're going to shoot down your lawsuit regardless. You try to avoid certain jurisdictions. It's not that you're aiming to go to a specific jurisdiction because you're going to win. It's more about trying to find a fair and balanced place. It's what he said, or at least that's what he does. And hey, I totally agree with that. You want to avoid places where you're going to lose. You want to go somewhere where it's more unbiased, I guess you could say, which to me, all judges should be unbiased, right? We should follow the letter of the law. We shouldn't allow our own biases to get in the way of litigating cases like this, right? You don't want that. You don't want biased judges. However, once again, like I say all the time, everybody has a freaking bias. But, some judges show it a lot more than others. Now, bringing it to that district where they know he's extremely conservative, yeah, that's manipulative. If he would have brought it to a district that is more fair, you can't really call that venue shopping. He just wants to be somewhere where it's going to be fair, right? You want fair playing field, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Now, some lawyers play that game more than others. That's what he told me. Some people, they love to bring cases to certain jurisdictions because they know they're going to win. They have a good working relationship with these people. That's another thing he was talking about, is sometimes you just go to places because it's familiar ground. It's like your home turf, your home territory. He said they do that a whole hell of a lot. In this case, can't really say that because it's up in Amarillo, Texas, of all places. Very conservative area. So, yeah, I think that's all I got for this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Because this, I don't know. I think it's a little bit frivolous. I'm leaning more frivolous on this one with the Washington Post, the WAPO lawsuit. The CBS, not so much. They intentionally did that. It's manipulative as hell, and it just goes to show how you guys are being manipulated. They didn't want you to see the circuitous garbage answer that Kamala Harris gave. Don't know why they would put that in the 60 Minutes interview, right in that clip, in other words. It makes no sense why they would put that out in the first place. It's ridiculous to me. And yeah, they should have to answer for that instead of saying, oh, well, it's not manipulative at all. Yeah, they need to answer for that. I think this specifically, this case with CBS, needs to be litigated. It needs to go to the Supreme Court to set precedent. And maybe, just maybe, we can get places like CBS, like NBC, MSNBC, to not do this type of crap, not manipulate the system. Because once again, as it was brought up to me, Fox News did this with one of Trump's campaign events. As a matter of fact, they manipulated a lot of what Donald Trump says. They do this, y'all. We are being manipulated on both sides. So just take that into account and stay with that. But I think I've rambled on for long enough, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to hit the like, y'all. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.